Say cheese. Oh, hello everyone. I was getting prepared for a camera shot, Isn't it a very easy thing? But just I got to realize that things wouldn't have been such easier if you trace back to the pages of history. So I see, like me, you are also interested in things like cameras and technologies, right? So come on, let's explore this journey from camera obscura to the whole new concept of digital camera and smartphone cameras. Alright, so hi, it's a pleasure to meet you all virtually. First of all, I would like to introduce to you to myself. So I am Sriparno Chakraborty, I am 19 and currently I am pursuing my BCA degree from a very reputed college of Kolkata, Institute of Engineering and Management. So today we will talk about the history, or you can say the evolution of camera. Interesting topic, isn't it? So how many camera lovers are there? Can you just write down some comments with your name and say that yes, I love camera, so I will be able to know that yes, there is some mad guy like me too who are too much interested in cameras. Alright, so let's start. Now, before getting into the technical part, I would like to tell you something. So, the original meaning of camera, do you know what it is? It is actually vaulted building, which came from Latin via the Greek root camera. No, it's not C-A-M-E-R-A, it's actually K-A-M-E-R-A. Amazing, isn't it? This camera means vaulted chamber or vaulted building. Abu Ali al-Hasan ibn al-Haytham. Now, this name is a very big name, and because it is very much related to this topic, I have to tell something about him. Because you know him as the father of optics. But at the same time, he is the inventor of the pinhole camera, the camera obscura. You can say that was actually the first camera ever built. So what is camera obscura? Camera obscura is basically a darkened room with a small hole or lens at one side through which an image is projected onto a wall. Okay, the opposite wall or table opposite the hole. So if the hole is in this point, the opposite wall will be the place where the image is gonna reflect. Okay, so camera obscuras with a lens in the opening have been used since the second half of the 16th century and became popular for drawing and painting. Just imagine a camera getting famous for drawing and painting, because that time photography wasn't a concept at all. The concept was developed further into the photographic camera in the first half of the 19th century, when camera obscura boxes were used to expose light sensitive materials to the projected image. In 1830, do you know what happened in 1830? A guy named Joseph Nicephore Niepce used a portable camera obscura to expose a pewter plate coated with bitumen to light, and this is how the first pic was captured. You want to see the first pic that was captured? Here it is. And you know what? This picture, which was captured by Sir Joseph Nicephore Niepce, wasn't faded quickly. And now, following Niepce's success, updation and developments were going on. They were going on very fast with cameras and technologies. And then the evolution actually came when daguerreotypes, emulsion plates and wet plates came into the scene. They were being developed and they were introduced to the people, and that all happened in the mid to late 1800s. So now many of you are having one question, that is, what is daguerreotype? It is basically nothing but a process, okay, in which a photograph goes through to develop an actual photograph, So what actually happens? There are 3 steps. It goes through 3 steps. Number 1 is polishing. A silver plated copper sheet was polished to a mirror-like finish, then swabbed with nitric acid. Number 2 is sensitization. In a dark room, the polished silver surface was exposed to halogen fumes, originally iodine, to produce silver iodide. But it was discovered that the use of bromine, producing silver bromide, greatly increased sensitivity. Number 3, exposure. To create the latent image, exposures could be a few seconds to many minutes. Now this was actually the main step, the exposure. Okay. Now daguerreotype was very popular at that time, but it was replaced by emulsion plates in 1850s. Can you guess the reason? If you are guessing about the exposure time, yes, you are absolutely right. Actually, daguerreotype plates used to take more than minutes, more than minutes, like 8 minutes, 15 minutes to expose the pic. But when it comes to emulsion plates, it only needed a few seconds. So from few minutes to few seconds. Okay, so it was actually a development. And talking about the wet plates, so many photographs were taken using wet plates during the time of Civil War. Yes, you are absolutely right. During the time of Civil War, and these are the pics. Photography took a huge leap forward in 1870s when dried gelatin plates were introduced by Richard Maddox. Yes, you are absolutely right. Why am I? You're gonna ask me why this is a huge leap? Because the photos at that time couldn't be stored for a long time. But when gelatin plates were introduced, gelatin plates could store photos for a very long time. Yes, just imagine you are taking a photo and you don't have any record of it. Just imagine. But after using gelatin plates, the time was kind of increased. It didn't get disappear at all. Now many of you are having a question in your mind that how much the cameras did cost at that time. So I don't have proper idea about how they costed at that time, but I can tell you they were very expensive and were not actually available for normal people or average people. Okay, they were only for kind of rich people who can actually afford the cameras. But in 1880, George Eastman came as a savior and established a company named Kodak. In that company actually produced lot of cameras in cheap rates, so that actually can average people or normal people were being able to buy cameras. But there was a thing, the cameras were very small in size. Now you're gonna say that what, cameras are small in size? Just imagine the history. Like it was at first a total room, and then it comes in our hand, and now it fits in our pocket in a smartphone, right? So that's actually an evolution. So at that time cameras were the size of them was shrinking actually, and it was being handy, or you can say comfortable for use. But there is a thing, you know what, you could take only up to 100 photos in one camera of Kodak. Now this was actually a huge drawback. You're gonna think that it was a drawback, but no, it was not. Because that time owning a camera was a very, very big thing. Those cameras didn't have focusing abilities. And do you know what is the most interesting fact about the cameras of Kodak? After taking 100 pics, the camera was sent to factory to develop those photographs. Just imagine, you are bringing your phone, you are sending it to a factory to develop those photographs. Just imagine. At the time of World War I, Leica introduced their first camera, which was Leica 1, and then after the World War I, they introduced their second model too. Now, if I'm talking about camera, how can I forget about the films? No, I'm not talking about movies like Bajirao Mastani, Jawan, Pathan. No. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the films or the reel which we use in cameras. Okay, yes, we used to use reels in cameras at that time. The films were very costly at that time. But in 1940, 35mm films were introduced, which was cheap enough for average people to buy. In 1948, Polaroid introduced its Model 95, which had the capacity to take and develop photographs in less than 1 minute. Well, the cameras were actually very much expensive at that time, but people were used to, people were getting shocked at the result. You are taking a picture right now and instantly you are getting the result, you are getting the photograph, right? So it was like a miracle at that time. So yes, people bought it. It was bought in a huge number, I would say. In 1950, a company named Asahi introduced Asahi Flex. Now, if I tell you the current name of that company, you will be able to recognize the company. You know what it is? Yes, you have guessed it right. It is Pentax. So Pentax in 1950 named Asahi launched their first camera known as Asahi Flex, and also Nikon. Yes, Nikon also launched a camera in that year, that particular year. It was named as Nikon F model. Okay, both were of SLR type. After that, SLR remained everyone's choice for the next 30 years. There is no particular development in techniques, but in technology or in physical appearance, there were a lot of differences. There are a lot of differences happened during that time. Things have changed, but there was no change of type. SLR was actually being used during for a very long time. Okay, for absolutely like for something like 30 years, there was no change. And then in 1970 to 1980, in that gap of time, the point and shoot camera was introduced. Let me tell you an amazing fact about the digital camera. So the first digital camera was actually invented in 1988, but guess what? It was never sold to public. Okay, but in 1991, Kodak sold the first official digital camera, which was known as Kodak DCS. But what about now? Today, brands like Canon, Nikon, Kodak are continuously developing, and also they are the highest selling camera brands actually of the world, I would say. They are offering advanced digital cameras, they are offering point and shoot cameras, they are offering SLR cameras, they are offering DSLR cameras. And nowadays smartphones have cameras too, right? Just for a fact, I am just telling you, I am even recording this video on my iPhone. So just imagine, I am not using this camera. Okay, I am using my mobile phone to record, and to watch my script I am using another mobile phone. Okay, this have camera too. You can see this, right? So this is how world have changed, or things have changed by day, right? By years, I would say. So obviously this is not a change only, this is obviously an evolution, I would say. Okay, so now you take any phone like Samsung S23 Ultra or Samsung S22 Ultra to iPhone 13 Pro Max or iPhone 14 Pro Max. They're actually giving a competition to the SLR cameras, right? Agree it or not, you can agree with me or you can't agree with me, that's completely depends on you, but this is the truth. The smartphones are giving competition to the camera brands, right? So from camera obscura to smartphone cameras, the journey wasn't easy at all. It's an evolution, it's a great evolution, I would say. So we have come to the ending part of the video. I hope you all have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed my video, just do three things, I would say. Just press like, comment something for me, share the video with your friends. Okay, if you want such more contents, okay, for more such contents like this, and you can also suggest me my next content, that would be good. Okay, you can suggest me contents too. So see you in my next video. Keep supporting. Jai Hind.
Tous les mêmes, et y'en a marre.